Alright, today class we'll be talking about a variation of the scholar's mate. Here we have pawn moving 2 steps up here to e4, and now black responding with e5. Upon this moment, the problematic is that white and black are now looking at each other, can hurt each other, they have stopped each other's progress. So white's next move, of course, would be to move something in order to stop that motion of that pawn. So here we have this queen coming out right here. A very bold move. You can also bring the queen to right here, but eventually you will bring the queen to right here. So we'll start right here, showing you the display that we are now attacking this pawn. And who's protecting this pawn? Who's protecting this pawn, class?
Nobody.
No one's protecting the pawn. So in response, black needs to send someone out to protect that pawn, which is the knight right here to c6. It's almost like a phone call to the big brother. Now, we all know our piece values, and this $9 piece, being the queen, is not going to capture this one pawn. It's only be caught by a knight. So he's no longer going to take him, and you have now protected your piece. In response, black moves up, bishop to c4. Yes?
Coach, I realize that they're both aiming toward the pawn on f7.
That is very good. I'm glad that you picked that up. That is exactly what they're doing. We're aiming at the pawn on f7. This is a finisciato, or flanked bishop, and this queen and this bishop are both looking at the f7 pawn. And what makes the f7 pawn so great is that the only person protecting the f7 pawn is the king himself, who can never be put in danger or harm's way. So, if white had his intentions way, it would have come here and checkmated. This is checkmate because the king is in danger and must leave. Cannot capture the queen because of the bishop. Cannot move down here because the queen is still attacking. So that is checkmate. If you decide to lead with the weaker piece in this case, then you would inopportunely mess up the king's opportunity to castle, and he would be forced to move downward. Alright, in this case, it is still black's turn, and black has one opportunity to stop most certain checkmate. That is the scholar's mate. So whenever you see your opponent bring out their queen, here to h5, or here to f3, then you must guard against scholar's mate by blocking the avenues in which they are connected. This diagonal and this diagonal. The way to do that in this case is the g-file pawn, moving it down 1. The g-file pawn serves as defense. The queen cannot take this pawn because of these 2 pawns on the f-file and h-file. Cannot move up here because of the knight and the bishop. And cannot move here due to what piece, class? What piece would?
The queen.
Very good. Now, how about this? Is this a most certain good idea? Is it a good idea to move here?
No, and it would be a good idea. It would be a good idea because it's a safe place. But the most best idea would be to move to g3 so that we know
G3,
f3.
f3.
To attack that pawn again.
Very good. That is correct. Move to f3 would be the better move, and the reason why g4 is only a temporary haven is because if black decided to release this pawn, it would discover attack on the queen. Alright? And send the queen running around again. And what you don't want to do is have someone chasing your queen around the board while they're developing all your pieces. So here we have the queen moving right here. Also threatening checkmate again with the pawn at f7 in danger from the bishop and the queen's attack.
Please call your father.
Now we have the knight coming forward to stopping the queen from making it that far. This is the queen wanting to take the knight, but what will happen again to him?
The queen.
Very good. So it's no longer a valid move for him. Now what has happened is black has done such a wonderful job of defending that black has changed the balance to a degree where white needs to do some defending of its own. This square right here in particular is unprotected, and white needs to protect it. And the reason why we need to protect this square from black's attack is black has the intention of possibly coming here to d4 or coming down here to b4 in order to eventually come down here and take this free pawn at c2, put the king in check, and then do what? Once you put the king in check. What do you do when you put the king in check with a knight?
Draw. Well, first you try to capture it. Second, you
Can we capture this piece?
No.
At the very moment. So the king is in check by a knight. What does the king have to do?
Run away.
He has to move away. It's his only choice. And when the king moves away, what are we going to do here?
Well,
Attack him with the other
Where do you
piece.
think this knight's going to go?
To the rook, because it's worth more value.
Very good. We're going to take this knight for free. And in that conclusion, we don't want that to happen. So, in order to stop Black's most certain attack, the best way to ensure that that won't happen is a plain and even exchange by moving our knight right here to e2. Now, if this knight was to come right here, we'll just trade off. It'll be knight to d4, then knight captures on d4, and then pawn equals it out. You guys see?
No.
All right. In this sense now, the next move for Black is going to get ready to castle. Since our first move was e4, undermining our defense, we want to go get our king to the other side. There's many different moves for White. You can bring the knight out right here to c2. You can also push this pawn up to d3. In this case, we'll do that right here. And Black is going to castle early, king side castle at that. And from that point on, White has the tempo and the offense and doesn't necessarily have any immediate attack posed on itself. So it doesn't have to castle right now, but if it wanted to, it could castle. With the king being right here, we could probably castle as well. Kingside castle, 1 and 2, swing the rook. Remember, we can castle only when we're not in check, only if we never move the king, only if we never move the rook. All right, that's that one.